Hello everyone, and thanks for checking out my second pickups video. If you haven't watched my first one, I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description or an annotation or something. I highly recommend you check that out because there's some really good games in that previous video, and a particularly rare one at the very end. So today I've got another pickups video. These are all the games I've bought in the last month or two. Ever since that last video, maybe a few I ordered before that just took forever to get here. Most games I pick up off eBay. Occasionally I might snag one at a garage sale or through a trade or something, but honestly it's slim pickings out here. The quality of games that I picked up are really good. There's some really heavy hitters here, some not so much heavy hitters, some sports games, but there's some really good ones too. So it's going to make for a good video. To start it off with, I'll show off my newest game, and that is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. The collector's edition. This comes with a big statue of Drake, a booklet, steelbook, and maybe probably a few DLC things. I know I said on the last video that I wasn't really into collecting collector's editions anymore, but I had to make an exception for Uncharted 4 because it's one of my favourite game series of all time and a fitting end to the Uncharted series. Not really a spoiler, they have been saying that it's the final Nathan Drake episode for a while. Whether they change their mind on that, I don't know, but it's a really good game and highly recommended. Probably the best in the series in my opinion. Next up we have Earthlight for the Super Famicom. This is of course the Japanese version of the Super Nintendo. Not much to say about this game. It was a couple of dollars. I was buying a few other games off the seller and he had this. I had a quick look at it. It did not come out in America or Europe, so I have no idea what type of game it is. It's got some cool sort of Japanese cyberpunky art style going on here. Can't tell you much more about that game. Next for the Genesis we have Battleship. And this is the Genesis version because we never got Battleship on the Mega Drive in Europe for some reason. We got it on the Super Nintendo but not the Mega Drive. Another sort of low tier Genesis / Mega Drive game is Andretti Racing. These are all super cheap, all complete, all in good condition. Another sports game, we've got Summer Challenge. As good as California games, I don't know. I really like the boxes that these ones come in. They're very different from the usual Mega Drive boxes. And they come with thick ass booklets too. What else? We've got World Cup USA 94 for the Mega Drive. Again, these games cost me a couple of dollars each, so just padding out the Mega Drive. I've got probably upwards of 100 games now for it, so it's getting up there. And we've also got NBA Live 95. And Super Kickoff for the Mega Drive. And these games are all complete, all in really good condition. Battle Squadron for the Mega Drive. Pretty sure this is complete. Yeah. I generally don't buy games that aren't complete. I love having complete games in my collection, and unless it's a super good deal, I probably won't go out of my way to buy a game unless it's complete with the box and the manual and everything that would normally come with. We have Mr. Nuts. Yes, that is the actual title of the game, and you play a squirrel. I've seen video of this game. It does look pretty fun. It has some good music too, some really good music. Check it out on YouTube. To finish off the Mega Drive, we have Comic Zone. Now, I've been trying to pick this up for a while, and it's not a very rare game. It's pretty common. It's not very expensive, but the reason why I've been taking so long to buy it is because I wanted to get one that came with the soundtrack or special CD. In Europe, the CD contains songs from the game. And they're probably higher quality than you'd get playing straight from the Mega Drive, but mostly ripped from the game. In America, I believe the CD that it came with actually had music from popular artists. I think there's a Danzig song, possibly Guns N' Roses. I can't remember exactly who's on that album. So they're different between the regions. But I've been trying to get that CD for a while, and they're not totally common because obviously people will throw them out or lose them. But happy to finally get that. Comic Zone is a great game. Yeah. So I have a Dreamcast game that actually came out in 2016. Possibly 2015. I can't remember exactly the date, but it was recently. Yes, you heard that right. It's a new game for the Dreamcast that was released in the last year or two. It's PS Solar. If you're familiar with this game, it was a homebrew game developed for the Mega Drive and released by a company called, I think it's Watermelon Factory. I could be wrong. Really good game, really good soundtrack. It's a traditional Japanese role-playing game. They have since ported this to the Dreamcast. It's a version I have here, and also the PC. So you can get it on Steam for $10 or so. I've heard good things. I haven't played through the full game, but might give the Dreamcast version a go. Next up for the GameCube, we have Mario Party 6. One more Mario Party game to add to the collection. I think I've got 5 or 6 of them now. Next up for the Xbox, we have Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. You can get this on computer. I'm not sure if you can still get it. Maybe GOG might have it, or maybe on Steam. Really good game. The combat isn't the best, but that's not the point of it. It's very atmospheric, very adventure. Unfortunately, this does not come with the manual. Pretty sure it was supposed to come with the manual, so I'll have to follow up with the seller there. Next up for the PS2, we have Pirates: Legend of the Black Cat. I was in a pirate mood for some reason, so I bought a couple of pirate-related games. There's another one for the PS2. No idea if this game's good or not, but hey, happy to have it. Next up for the PS2, we have The Black Buccaneer. Again, no idea if these games are good. They were fairly cheap, and I was in a pirate mood, so I picked up a couple of pirate-related games. There is another game called Buccaneer. I believe it was only released in PAL. It's a port of a Simple Series Japanese game, and it's super hard to find. So that's a different to Black Buccaneer. We have a PC game, and it's an interesting one. It's called Treasure Quest. It's a sort of a point-and-click puzzle game. I don't really know much about it, but the gimmick with this game was that the first person to solve the final riddle, or the final, I guess, puzzle of the game, and sent in sufficient proof to the company that published the game, wins $1 million. I did a bit of research before, and I couldn't find out if anyone actually won the $1 million. So whether it's still not solved, or maybe someone just went under the radar and won it, I don't know. I also got the official guidebook that came separately, I believe. It wasn't included with the game. The seller was kind enough to include it with the game for an extra $1 or $2, so thank you so much to him. PS1 games here, I've got some Super Nintendo games here, and I've got a secret Nintendo 64 game hiding behind here, which I'll save to the very end. First up, I have Soul Blade for PS1. Cool fighting game. I can't remember if it's this one or Soul Edge. That is the precursor to the Soul Calibur series. Possibly Soul Edge, I can't remember. Syndicate Wars for PS1. Siphon Filter 2. I remember playing the shit out of this back in the day. Terrible at it, but I used to replay the same mission over and over again. Slam and Jam. Next up, we have Worms for PS1. Probably the very first PS1 game that I actually ever played. I remember my uncle, when the PS1 came out, he rented out a unit from the corner store with a few games, one of which was Worms. I remember the music being really good. Huge weapon variety, a lot of strategy involved. It's a really good game. I think the very first game that I actually played for the PS1. The other game he rented out actually was Resident Evil, and that game scared the absolute shit out of me. I had nightmares for months after watching that game. I think I was like 7 years old at the time. That game was fucking horrifying. Next up, we have WCW Nitro. I don't remember if this is a good one. There's one particularly standout WCW game on the PS1. I played them all back in the day. I was a huge WCW fan way better than WWF in my opinion at the time. So I don't remember if this is a good one, but I'm pretty sure I own all the WCW games for the PS1 now. So try get them for the Nintendo 64. Bloody Raw. It's like a 3D polygonal fighting game. I can't remember. I think the gimmick of this one is that you have power-ups. You can power up into different animals. I could be wrong. It's been so long since I've played my PS1. It's probably one of the games that I owned back in the day. Not a huge fighting game, but I did remember playing this and Rival Schools. Rival Schools was my favourite. And last but not least, on the PS1, we have Taxi 2, Le Jeu. Now, my French isn't the best, but I'm pretty sure this translates to Taxi 2, Le Jeu. What the ethnicity or religion of a character being Jewish has to this game, I have no idea. But I'm kidding. Like, calm down, I'm kidding. It's Taxi 2, the game. Based off a movie called Taxi 2, the second in a series. I think there's 3 Taxi movies. They're like an action comedy series shot and produced in France. There are 3 Taxi games to my knowledge. They're all made in France and only released in France. That's Taxi 2 Le Jeu for the PS1. There's Taxi 2 Le Jeu for the Dreamcast, and Taxi 3 Le Jeu for the GameCube. Taxi 2 Le Jeu for PS1 and the GameCube game are fairly inexpensive. The GameCube game's getting up there. PS1 game's cheap as dirt. I think shipped this was like less than $10 from France. It's in great condition. The Dreamcast one, on the other hand, is super fucking expensive. If I had to guess why, I'd imagine that the Dreamcast probably didn't do too well in France. So, a Dreamcast specific game, only released in France, probably didn't sell too well. So that would be my reasoning why it's so expensive and so hard to find. That's all the PS1 games. Let's get stuck into my Super Nintendo pickups. I've got 3 games. First up is Super BC Kid. Now you're probably looking at this character and going, I know that guy from somewhere. That's of course, it's Bonk. If you're American, you know him as Bonk. There was a few BC Kid games released here, and he wasn't called Bonk for some reason. I'm guessing probably licensing issues or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's BC Kid in Japan as well. I like Bonk better, but not my decision. Next up we have a game based on one of my childhood favourite cartoons, of course, Biker Mice from motherfucking Mars. I don't know if the game's any good. They don't look like traditional platformers. They look kind of racing / arcadey games. I think this is only one of 2 Biker Mice from Mars games released. I think the other one was on PS2. I could be wrong, there could be more, but super stoked to have this. It's not a common game by any stretch, at least with the manual and the box and all that. That's why collecting games is so much more expensive and so much harder for me, because I can't just have the manual, I can't just have the cart, I should say. I need to have everything. Last game that I ordered is a game that I actually already owned, but my copy was in really shitty condition, so I've been keeping an eye out for a better quality version to replace it with. Mega Man X, the cheapest by far Mega Man game on the Super Nintendo. Holy crap, X2 and X3 are freaking expensive, and I'll probably never ever get them, but maybe one day. Mega Man X is great. As I said, I already own this game, but I wanted a better condition version. It's not mint by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still in good condition, so I'm happy to replace the one that I had. And I actually made a profit because I got this up for a fairly good deal from the United Kingdom, and I ended up selling my copy in Australia for more than I paid, so I made a profit, so I'm pretty happy with that. I paid way less years and years ago when I actually originally bought the game, because it has skyrocketed lately. Last but not least, for the Nintendo 64, I have a cart-only game, and that is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now, I know you're saying, well, didn't you just say before that you only collect complete games? And that's true. I actually already owned Conker's Bad Fur Day complete, but I'm retarded and actually lent out the cart to someone, and I completely forgot about it. Years later, I went to play it, looked in my box and realised the cart wasn't there. I remember lending it out, but I honestly don't remember who I lent it out to. So, if you have a big collection, you want a lesson, freaking write down when things get lent out to people, because you'll forget, because your collections are so huge. And people will forget. They're not necessarily being disingenuous and stealing games, but people forget, people move on, situations change, and over the years, games that you lent out will disappear. And this is one of them. This game is fucking expensive. Thankfully, I saved myself $100 to $200, and I already had the boxing manual in mint condition, so I just needed the cart. And I've just been keeping an eye out on auctions, and I eventually found an auction that was about $50 cheaper than what they normally go for. So I bid on it last minute and got it. So happy to finally get that. It's one less thing I have to worry about. There's another particularly expensive PS1 game that I also lent out years ago, which I have to replace as well, and I'm dreading that one because it's expensive. It's a pretty expensive RPG, but I'll talk about that in another video. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. This was my pickups for the last couple of months. Please like, subscribe, comment. It does help. I'm planning to do more videos in the coming months. I've been pretty lazy. I've been sick. I've been working. I'm actually on a sick day at the moment, so I probably look like shit. Probably sound like shit. But yeah, so drop us a comment. If you have your own channel, please let me know. I love checking out other people's channels, especially ones with lower view counts. It's like finding hidden gems, but on YouTube. So yeah, drop us a comment, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.